for some reason need this. So this is my daughter, Taylor. This is before we started patching. This is 6 months into patching. And this picture here on the far right, my thing here, is 1 year after patching. We saw more benefits and more results and more changes in her in the year that we were using this X39 cellular activation patch than we had in anything in 15 years. And we did it all. Like I said, I would do anything, try anything, and I saw benefits. But this child over here on the far left who was happy, she was healthy. You can see her G-tube down here. I don't know what we were feeding her at the time, but it's obviously in the evening time. But look at her body, look at her structure. When you're in a wheelchair for 15 years, we did chiropractic every week, we did acupuncture, we did massage, we did craniopsychotherapy. Her body still, she didn't have the muscles to support those bones. So structurally, things were shifting. If you look at her eye right here, this was my biggest concern, honestly. I mean, her back was curved. But her head had shifted from the curve in her back. So her skull was actually, that bone above her eye was protruding out. So it was actually closing her eye. And you couldn't do anything about it. I took her to the eye doctor. I took her to a plastic surgeon for children. I took her to a neurosurgeon for children. And they all said structural. There's nothing you're going to do. Her spine, everything is just too twisted and torqued. And it's nothing you did wrong. It's just part of her not having the muscles to hold the bones in place. So 6 months later, you can start to see some changes, right? Look at her hand. You can start to see some changes in the hand. You can see some changes in her sides. Like we can see the change in her sides. And then at a year mark, I mean, you've got this very relaxed. Her legs are straight. They're bigger. She's got more meat on her bones. And things are just, her eye opened up. Her teeth even straightened out. If you can see here, I don't know if you can see that tooth, but you can see it here. It's not as pronounced. Her teeth actually straight. Like, how does that happen? I don't know. We saw a... she used to bruise all the time. And I don't know if you can see there's like a little bruise right here, but I mean, she would have huge bruises. Those bruises cleared up. They completely went away in the first 30 days. She never had a normal cycle when she had one years and years ago. And she didn't have one for 3 years. And then all of a sudden, first month, boom, she has a normal cycle, lasts a normal amount of time, and then done. Where before she would bleed like for weeks on end. That completely cleared up. Her level of joy changed. She was able to, at this picture, you could ask her things and she would blink her eyes. She could write. So she's very cognitive, but she just couldn't verbally communicate. But on this picture here, it was maybe a maybe, you know, but not a consistent answer, let alone a conversation. But we started using the Eon with her pretty quickly, okay? About 30 days on X39 and Eon. I'll talk about Eon in a little bit. We started the carnosine. So by this point here, which is about 30 days in with the carnosine, this point here is 6 months. This child here, you could have a conversation with. She had new words. She had probably 8, 10, 12 words. You could ask her questions. She would answer like this. Right? My mom would call on the phone. She, no, yeah, I don't know, maybe, just like nonstop. You could ask her about her day, what she did at school. She was interacting with her teacher, with her friends, all of those things. Everything completely changed for her that first 6 months. And then by that year mark, it was just like a totally different kid. I mean, it was just like, I'm thinking, okay, all right, so now I finally found the holy grail of healing. I finally found something that is going to get my kid out of the wheelchair. And I'm going to share this with you just because you're going to ask where she is now. I'm 2.5 years into this. She is in heaven with my dad and her dog and my dad's dog and my grandmother and grandfather. She unexpectedly passed away last year. A little over a year ago, she had a massive bleed at her brainstem. We have no idea why. The doctors didn't. She woke up throwing up one morning in May, and within 36 hours, she was gone. It was her time to go. That's all I know. And that's all I feel in my heart, that I was led here to this company for her, obviously, for us, for that year, that quality of life, especially with dad, you know, being able to have that communication. You know, mom, we can speak telepathically with our kids. We know everything they're saying and thinking. But, you know, for dad, for her family members, for friends, to be able to have that level of connection with her that they hadn't before. But I also know that the reason why I'm here, why she brought me here, was to be able to help you, to be able to help tens and thousands and hundreds of thousands of people. So you're the reason why I'm still sitting here on Zoom